the whole point of getting a motorbike to travel was that I thought it would be simple, and I thought that the hard parts of this were going to be learning to ride and then doing the trip itself. What I didn't think was going to be difficult was online shopping, but oh my god, this is giving me the biggest headache. I mean, look, there's just so many options and none of them are the right one. You feel like the whole system is just geared against you. It just is ridiculous. It's marketing gone mad, and I can't see the wood for the trees when it comes to buying what I need. I don't need the best stuff. I don't even need anything that good. I just want something that does the job, keeps me comfortable and keeps me safe, and I don't want extra stuff on top of that. But unfortunately, that is not a good business when it comes to selling stuff. You would think taking less stuff and finding a cheaper option would be quicker, right? Because you have to sort through less technical details. But no, in my experience, it is the complete opposite. And it's not just with motorbikes, it's with anything. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but definitely these companies try to confuse you. I mean, when I was looking for trousers for my motorcycle jeans, there's about 16 different options from the same brand with almost identical names and like next to no difference in what the features are. It's just all meant to confuse you so that you don't know what you get, so that you buy more than you need, which they can justify charging you for. It just feels like a scam, to be honest. And that's what you feel like. And I feel like it's the whole opposite of the essence of what riding a motorbike should be, right? It should be minimalist, out there, and like where you're feeling the elements, you can feel the wind and stuff. But now there's so much emphasis on making things high-tech and comfortable and optimal that it's just ruining what motorbikes should be like. And although you might get nuggets of information and top tips that are like worth their weight in gold on forums, more often than not, it's people that with way too much time on their hands just kind of having a circle jerk about what type of Gore-Tex is better, or whether it's even that breathable, and how many thousand milliliters per square inch of breathability is required. Mate, I just want to be dry on my motorbike. I don't mind if I get a bit sweaty underneath it. There is just a constant never-ending discussion about what you need and what you don't need. And to be honest, what I've realised is the more people talk about it on a forum, the less likely you are to need it. I'm not looking for perfection. I just want to be relatively comfortable most of the time. I feel like part of the point in motorbikes is to be a bit, have a bit of discomfort, to put up with some of the elements and what you have to face. That's what makes a journey an adventure, right? And here's the other thing, as soon as people will latch onto the idea of branding something as an adventure, it just seems to go completely the opposite direction for what an adventure really is. There's like an over-reliance on what makes something safe or comfortable, and that makes someone starting out, and often people like me who are younger with way less budget and just want to give it a go and dip their toes in, have got no idea to start. Now, of course, and I know lots of people like this, but honestly they're the people that are most successful at this. They just say, nah, you don't need any of that, mate. Just go and make it up as you go along. But unfortunately, this is where I have to be honest, I'm holding myself back. I'm a perfectionist and I want to have the best bash at anything I try. So of course I want to go into it with a little bit of planning, because I want to prevent an easily avoidable situation that ends up ruining the experience and putting you off, and then you never want to have a go at it again. But it's finding that line. What is the bare minimum and what is nothing more? But I feel like the hobby has just been hijacked by gear nerds, and that happens with anything. It's because there's almost nothing to talk about or argue about when you just want the most basic stuff. If everyone agreed that any tent will do, and to be honest, your bike stock is fine. People can't have an opinion on that. I think probably the best example would be these adventure motorbike jackets. I mean, there is just a ridiculous amount of gear and also ridiculous price tags. I mean, these kind of like climb jackets, they go for up to a thousand quid. That's mind-blowing. You can almost buy another motorbike for that. And if it's a bit of a banger, then you definitely can. But these things that cost so much money and they include so many features and technical specs, are they even the best thing for most people? From what I can find, no. For example, just wearing lots of layers is better. These are all my gut instincts, but when you start looking up this stuff, even if you set out what you need, your intentions, like, okay, I need some gear that's going to keep me dry, but not going to get me too hot when it gets hot. It's suitable down to about 5 degrees, but will also be suitable in the blistering sun too. What's going to work for me? Then you kind of brainwash yourself, and to some extent you have no one to blame but yourself for letting it get so bad. People arguing over the minutiae of the different details when really we should be looking up completely different options instead. For example, what level of waterproofing do you need on your motorcycle gloves? The best answer I found to that was pack some winter ones that are pretty waterproof, and when it gets really bad, use a pair of Marigold washing up gloves. I mean, there is no better option than that, surely. It's the most lightweight and the most flexible, but that doesn't make any money. I mean, this is where we're going wrong. And I feel like a lot of the forums, as I said, they have themselves to blame. What you go on there looking for is the best, most realistic, real-world answers, and yet people are so sucked into the marketing hype that they can't see the wood for the trees. And worse still, these people probably never even tried on or saw these jackets. They just read the tech specs online, and then they're just weighing in on it. Okay, I'm sure they have their best intention, although sometimes they're mainly weighing in just because they like to be right and not because they want to help anyone find the right option. And you know what? I'm guilty too. Social media sucks as well, because all it is encouraging people to get the most flashy options, and also especially when it comes to like adventure riding and riding off-road and motorbikes in general, it makes people way overestimate their ability and what they're gonna do. Like yeah, okay, you might need knee braces if you're Paul Tarras, but to be honest, if it's your first time going green laning, do you really? I still don't even know. I mean, it's like, what do you actually need? What's the bare minimum? Okay, I figured out bark busters. Probably should get some of those to prevent snapping a lever, but do I really need to upgrade my sump guard and my engine guard just for my first time having a little dabble? My foot is absolutely killing these days. I was working as a bartender to try and earn some money while my foot's recovering, but it was at the point where I would finish work and I would just be crawling around at home because I couldn't stand on my foot, because as I've obviously mentioned, I broke my calcaneus, which is the heel bone, and that has given me, blessing and a curse, a lot more time to look into what I actually need. But I sit down to try and figure out, like, okay, this afternoon I'm going to look into what upgrades I actually need to do with my bike, or what camping stuff I actually need. What would be a good tent that will serve me now while I'm in the UK, but also be suitable for while I go around the world. And I will sit there for hours, and then that day will become the next day, and then, to be honest, I spent probably a week looking at what tent to get. And and do you know what's the worst part? I'm pretty sure I decided, and then I know when I go to buy it, I'm gonna have a look around again and spend another day and never buy anything, and then it's just this whole paralysis by analysis and indecision means I never get anywhere. this happy chappy didn't just bring you out to rant to you. I also want to show you something quite interesting, a magical healing well. And I'm hoping not only will it heal my foot faster so I can get off traveling quicker, but I'm also hoping it's going to heal my headache from having to look at all these endless choices. And that's the thing. It's like the more you look and read into about it, it's like the less sense all of it makes. Yes, I'm in a graveyard as well. The less sense all of it makes. I read somewhere that just in life, usually the thing that you think your first instinct is probably the right one for you and your situation. You have to trust your gut, but you know, you always have that little bit of doubt. You go, okay, no, I'll just see if I can find one cheaper. And then by finding one cheaper, you find out the features that the one you originally saw that this one doesn't have, and then you wonder, do I need those features actually? And then you start looking at those features and you find out there's more features that the one you originally saw didn't have. And then you don't know which one. You feel like one of the three blind mice trying to figure out which door to take, you know. But it's just ridiculous. This is quite a steep hill actually. It's just ridiculous. You've got no idea what to look for and when. And you go round and round in circles, and at the end of the day, the one you choose is pretty much the first one you thought anyway. So here it is. This is called the Ladywell, and it is an ancient shrine. It's pre-Christian. It's like a pagan shrine, which by rubbing the water on your ailments is supposed to heal them. But have a look at the water. That is pretty stagnant. I don't think that's moved for quite a long time. It's supposedly hooked up to a spring, but based on my knowledge of brain-eating amoeba, I'm not going to rub that on myself. But I do still think it's done the job, because just getting out of the house and taking a step back from it has already cleared my head. And that's what motorcycling is supposed to be about, right? It's not about the gear. It's not about having the most high-tech stuff. In fact, it doesn't really even matter where you go. It's just about getting out and getting some headspace and being around and experiencing stuff. And that's why I like motorbikes, because you experience way more. You're not cocooned inside. You're out there living and you feel every part of the journey. Now, all hope is not lost. Now, I'm not an expert, so maybe take what I'm saying with a pinch of salt, because more often than not, it's bollocks. But here are some things that I think you can do to help to kind of decide what you actually need and how you can pick out something without breaking the bank that just does the job. First of all is actually knowing what you need. And this is the hardest part, because if you're in my situation, you've never done anything like it before, you don't know where to start. I don't know what I'm gonna need and what it's gonna be like and what conditions are gonna be like where I go and all sorts like that. Just a nightmare to sift through. But if you can, write out what you definitely need. You know, say you need you want to take your bike off-road, but you're only going on some hard-packed gravel tracks. Well, I think probably you need handlebar lever guards like bark busters, so you don't get that smashed up to pieces. But do you need things like, do you even need bigger off-road tires for your first time? I mean, probably not. Do you need reinforced crash bars? The one on my Himalayan, they're probably going to be good enough. You know, things like that. It's like really what you actually need, because then the next thing to do is to buy it when you need it. That's also difficult, because if you're like me and you don't hold back and you just go balls to the wall and you always throw yourself in 100%, you want to have everything before you go, so you don't have to turn back or you miss out on not being able to do something just because you didn't think of it at the time, you didn't know you needed it. But if you can, do it as an iterative process. So like, okay, I'm going to buy this because I expect I'm going to do that. Okay, I wanted to do this, but then I couldn't. So next time I go out, I'm going to make sure I have this with me. So you can buy it as you go. And that also spreads the cost as well. And you want to spend as little as possible. Anyway, if you're like me, you do. That's why I bought a Royal Enfield Himalayan instead of a Ducati. So you keep it cheap, but look for older stuff. I buy loads of stuff used. In fact, eBay, I love eBay at the moment, especially for motorcycle gear, and especially for like camping gear and adventure gear. People buy it, they try it, and they realize it's not for them. This jacket is a Revit Eclipse. It was like 130 quid. I found it brand new with the tags on for 60 quid on eBay. Clearly they just went past their return period. And so much other stuff I've got like used. And now all the stuff I'm looking at for like camping, I'm only considering used stuff because someone else takes the hit on the depreciation. And then actually when you go to resell it, a lot of this camping stuff, apparently doesn't really depreciate that much. So you can kind of do it, try it, and then upgrade when you need, and then kind of use it as a hand-me-down in the future. Now I need your help. I want your money saving tips for just getting started. Like, what is the bare minimum? What do you and don't you actually need when you start doing adventure touring? Like, what do I really need in a tent? Do I need, special type of seams on the tent or not really? Or is it actually worth upgrading the tires before I even start trying off-road? Or is that something that can actually wait until those tires are pretty much bald and then I'll upgrade and I'll feel a big difference, but I'll have saved my money? Things like tubeless or tubed even. But where you can actually find good advice is next to impossible, because there is, as I said, just so much discussion that goes absolutely nowhere, people talking in circles. But here is one thing that I would recommend, and it got recommended to me. Now, everyone calls me granddad because I'm very old school, but this is an book. The Adventure Motorcycling Handbook. I'm not sponsored, but I've just started reading it because I got recommended to it by a guy called Jacob, who rode all the way from Alaska to Patagonia on his CRF 250, and then now he's in Asia going around and stuff. So the guy knows his stuff, and he said this is where he started. He used this, and the way it's written by this guy Chris Scott, who has clearly done a lot of traveling, and even on his last trip used a Royal Enfield Himalayan, which is super useful because it's real world actual advice from someone who's done tough stuff on it, not just occasional green laning on a Saturday weekend warrior kind of stuff. Down to earth advice, and you can tell from the tone that he's written it in that he isn't one to splash out on stuff that he doesn't need, and he's only there and only needs what works. So I would recommend this book as well. It's super cheap compared to the information I think you can get into it. I think it cost me like 12 quid or something like that. 19.99 it says, but you can get it used. I think this is a used copy. So that is also good. Take everything you see online with a pinch of salt. Fake news is everywhere. And of course, please put your tips and tricks in below and follow along my videos and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Please make my life easier and save me from making the same mistakes you did. And hopefully by making these videos, you could not make some of the mistakes that I have. Anyway, guys, this is just a short one, a little bit different to normal. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you follow for the next one and subscribe to keep seeing my journey that's going to take me from going around the UK to all around the world. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, my slimes.